I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I didn't really have any true Christian influences in my life as I was growing up. The primary focus in our household was science. My father was a nuclear physicist and taught at a college level. My mom was a science and math teacher in high school and junior high. So as my brother and I were growing up, we were exposed to science, and my parents encouraged my brother and I to consider to take courses and even pursue studies in the sciences and in math. My father was a Muslim, born in India. He came to the United States in the 1950s. And while he was not a strict adherent to Islam, he was very much devoted to Islam in a private, personal way. My mom came from a Catholic background, but she was a non-practicing Catholic when she and my father met and got married. So as we were growing up, they agreed to disagree when it came to religion and really didn't give my brother and I any kind of religious instruction whatsoever. Now, if you asked me, did I believe in God at that time, I would have probably said yes. But in a practical sense, God really wasn't important to me whatsoever. When I went to college, I decided that I wanted to become a biochemist and was taking courses in chemistry and biology. And the professors I admired the most were staunch evolutionists. And so I uncritically accepted the idea that life's origin and life's history is explicable through evolutionary means exclusively, and felt very comfortable with that perspective. When I went to graduate school to earn a PhD in biochemistry, I began to take advanced courses in biochemistry. I began to do my own research. I began to read the scientific literature. And what struck me is how complex biochemical systems are, but also how elegant and sophisticated these systems are as well. And that became very interesting to me and kind of curious. How do scientists explain these remarkable chemical systems inside the cell? And as I looked at the scientific explanations, basically origin of life explanations that said life emerges from a prebiotic soup through the outworkings of chemistry and physics, I simply could not see how that process or those types of processes could produce the elegant chemistry inside the cell. And at that point, I became convinced that there had to be a creator that brought life into existence. And that then sent me on a quest to try to understand who that creator was or is, and how do I relate to the creator. And after about 6 months of exploration, I was reading through the New Testament, and specifically the Sermon on the Mount, and that was an incredible experience in which I felt as if Jesus must be indeed who Christians claim him to be. He taught with such power and authority and insight into human nature, and what he taught was, to me, true, but I knew that I could never live up to those standards that he held out for his disciples. So I also was confronted, in a sense, with my own shortcomings, my own failings, my sin, if you will. And it was through that process that I converted to the Christian faith. Somebody along the way had given me a little booklet on how to become a Christian, and of course it included a prayer that I went through, again, after reading of the Sermon on the Mount. I would argue that, in effect, God was revealing himself to me through the record of nature in the elegance of biochemical systems and through the pages of Scripture. And specifically, I encountered the person of Jesus Christ, I would argue, in a supernatural way through the pages of Scripture. And those two revelations drew me into a relationship with Jesus Christ.